What's up, everybody? It's your boy, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about WWE Monday Night Raw, August 2nd, or not August, September 2nd, 2024 review. Um, this was a very solid show last night. Very enjoyable show. Uh, some good wrestling as well. Not to mention I thought it was a fair show. It was bearable, it was watchable, and they're hitting it on all cylinders lately. Um, just to give you guys an update on the channel, as you guys may already see the schedule in the live content section of this channel. When you go on YouTube, you will notice that there is scheduled events that will be taking place this week. We will be discussing AEW Dynamite as usual and SmackDown, all on Wednesday and Friday. Thursday, we will be discussing about the NFL Week 1 games. If you guys are at all interested in the NFL, by all means, come on over and take a look at what I have to talk about with that for Week 1. I've already put my picks in from last week. If you haven't catch that video, go ahead and do so. I will be providing you guys a lot of good bets, actually. In case you're at all concerned about, going ahead and making bets, if you're at all interested in betting, and you're in a state that you can legally bet in a sports book here in the state in the US, by all means, I would go ahead and do so. It is worth your time. You will find a lot of valuable stuff. If you're, caught up in some stuff that you're not certain of about who's going to win or who's going to lose, you can always move over to the player props and go for a certain amount of yards as if you were playing fantasy football. Do a parlay and hit all those, and you'll make the same amount of money you would if you had a lineup put together competing against several people. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. If you want to do them individually as well, you could definitely do so. You'll still make decent amount of money, maybe not the same as you would in a parlay. But anyway, getting away from that, I'm really pumped more about pro football this coming weekend than anything else. Pro wrestling is kind of secondary to me, but pro wrestling is this channel. So let's go ahead and discuss it. We had a couple of comments in the chat before the show went live, mostly by Love Girl. Daniel says, I have arrived early. Love Girl says, I need to ask you, World of Wrestling, do you think Bo Dallas was nervous when he did his promo on Monday Night Raw? Because to me, he sounded, nervous to me, and he didn't have his brother by his side. And all these people are making fun of him for messing up because he messed up his line, and they're making fun of him. So would you be nervous and you haven't shown your face in 10 years? I kind of thought that was just part of the character. I didn't really particularly notice any kind of major issues in his promo personally. So I didn't catch any of that. I didn't know that that was a mistake. I mean, he did sound a little quivery in his voice, like he was getting emotional or something. She goes on and says this is his first time being on TV in 10 years, and Uncle Howdy never spoke when he was the character. His character never did, even when he did a mini feud with his brother before he died. So he needs to work on it. I just hope that people realize that Bo Dallas never got a chance to be on TV in 10 years, because when he was gone for all those years, he was on a farm, and all he talked to was his animals and family. Okay. Love Girl, you don't have to go in defense here. I didn't say shit about his speaking ability, so I have no idea. But anyway, Let's go into this review. It was a good show. A lot of good content took place during this event. So we're going to have to get into it. WWE Raw. September 2nd, 2024. All right. So Rhea Ripley kickstart the show. Ripley welcomes everyone to Monday Night Mommy. The crowd roars as Ripley notes it feels good to say that again. Ripley gloats about her tag team victory with Damian Priest against Dominic and Liv Morgan. They aren't finished with the Judgment Day at Bash in Berlin. Ripley pinned Women's World Champion, so it's time for Ripley to get back what she never lost. Before Ripley can finish her challenge, a stolen Dominic Mysterio walks down to the ring. He also had blood in his eye, by the way. Very interesting factor there. Mysterio is rocking a fresh shiner under his eye, and the crowd boos as Dominic tries to tell Ripley that Morgan isn't here. The crowd drowns Dominic out as he tries to says Morgan still recovering from what Ripley did to her at Bash at Berlin. Mysterio says Ripley and Priest took advantage of them at Berlin, and Morgan and Mysterio were jet lagged and got no sleep that night for various reasons, referring to getting laid. How nice. Mysterio accepts Ripley's challenge for Morgan, and Mysterio proclaims that Morgan has beaten Ripley before and she will do it again. Ripley tells Mysterio to shut up in Spanish, and Ripley tells Mysterio to tell Morgan she will face her anytime, any place. Ripley, but Morgan tries to sneak attack, but Ripley floors her with an elbow, and Ripley chases Mysterio. Morgan pushes Riley, causing her to get her leg caught in the ropes, and Morgan kicks and stomps Ripley's leg as she dangles from the ropes. Damian Priest runs down to the ringside, and Mysterio and Morgan escape from the crowd, through the crowd, excuse me. Daniel, Daniel, man, haven't heard from you in a long while outside of the comment up there while you were waiting for us to go live here. Daniel says, "Did you enjoy Raw last night?" Yes, I did. I actually enjoyed Raw for what it was. I had some good content, good storyline progressions. It was a very enjoyable show. If you missed it, by all means, go back and watch it. It's not a waste of your time. Any boring stuff, don't get me wrong, there was a few boring things on the show. So if you want to skip it, since you're not actually doing reviews on these shows, I would just skip any segments that you're not totally interested in watching and just watch the segments that you are interested in. But majority of the show, it was worth going through and sitting and watching the whole entire thing. So you might not have to skip too much stuff from the beginning to the end. So yeah, it was a good show. I've been very impressed with Raw. Raw has been a very entertaining show. Seems like Triple H's creative team seems to focus a lot more on one show over the other. Like before Raw got Netflix, SmackDown was the more entertaining show, and Triple H seemed to put more emphasis in storyline progressions there. And now it seems like it's the other way around. Raw is getting more storyline progression, while SmackDown seems to be a little lighthearted, not a whole lot of effort being put behind it. And I just, I've been very surprised that SmackDown has been forgotten about basically now that Raw has got Netflix under their belt in the future. So it is kind of interesting. Daniel says, "I'm surprised Hunter was definitely cooking lately, especially with the Terror Twins versus Judgment Day. WWE has been doing better while AEW is unfortunately going downhill. I wouldn't say that AEW is going downhill, Daniel, but I will say that they are kind of like lost their stride in storyline progressions like WWE's been doing. WWE has been very consistent with everything that they're doing on the shows, but the problem is that AEW is too wrestling focused and not enough story given to us to really be hyped up when we see the pay-per-view. Pay-per-views have been outstanding. If you have been following their pay-per-views on a month-to-month basis or whenever they're showing their pay-per-view, they do a great job. I have not been dissatisfied with their pay-per-view quality of shows, but their week-to-week televised shows just seems like, what is the fucking point of sitting through all of this? Do I really want to sit here? Now, don't get me wrong. They are nowhere near what WWE was many years ago when Vince McMahon was in creative power. So, I mean, AEW is not that far gone. I mean, they're not that low in creativity or in insulting our intelligence. I mean, they do have logic gaps and issues here and there. Don't get me wrong, but they are nowhere near where Vince McMahon's creative team was at one point with WWE. So I wouldn't say AEW's in the shitter yet, but their ratings speak otherwise. The ratings are not what they used to be. They used to be close to 1 million consistently every week. Now they're like at 600,000 or so. They're not doing very well overall with the ratings, but MJF's been holding his own, but he's only one person, and they need a lot more help than just MJF. I mean, Will Ospreay has been doing his part as well, but again, those are the only two guys that seem to be all that entertaining, as well as Swerve Strickland. Bryan Danielson now getting on this title run should make things a little bit interesting, except for this Darby Allin, or not Darby Allin, this Jack Perry match. Like, I don't give a fuck. Jack Perry, if you went on Bet Online to bet on a match, almost every match is predictable and very hard to bet on and win anything back. I'll even discuss this with you guys this coming Thursday about that. But the only match that's worth betting on is Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. And Hangman Page is a minus 500, which pretty much says he's a heavy favorite to win the fucking match overall anyway. They don't think creative in AEW is going to book Swerve Strickland to win the match in the steel cage, which makes sense. Daniel says, I agree with what you're saying, and also I want to apologize that I haven't been around much in a while. I'm just glad Vince and Pete and Dunn are gone. Camera work has been peak lately. Some themes need work though. Yeah, most definitely. WWE's entrance music is absolute fucking trash, Daniel. I'm not really impressed with their theme music for these wrestlers' entrances. So, but again, I mean, even the theme songs for the pay-per-views aren't all that interesting either. They pick up all these lame ass names and shit. So it is what it is. Anyway, moving on. Backstage, Chad Gable says he's tired of losing to the Wyatt Six and Alpha Academy laughing at them. Tonight, the Creeds and Ivy Nile needs to show the world that they are American made. And they start, Chad Gable slaps everyone in the face except for Ivy Nile. And gets them all pumped up for the 6-man tag team match against Alpha Academy and American Made. American Made actually end up winning this match. This was a very good 6-man tag team match. What's her face? Maxine Dupree. She was excellent in this match. Probably the best performance I've seen her in. She was really good. Way better than Jade Cargill, by the way. And yes, JD from New York 206 mentioned that on his podcast last night, and I will agree with him. Maxine Dupree was a hell of a lot better than Jade Cargill at Bash of Berlin. Just letting you guys know. Zelina Vega versus Shayna Baszler came up next. This match, who the fuck cares? I don't. You shouldn't either. Shayna Baszler, of course, though, wins. After the match, Baszler and their group beat down Vega, and Lyra Valkyria tries to make the save, but is quickly taken out by the Pure Fusion Collective. What a fucking lame name, by the way. Anyway, backstage, Vega and Valkyria want to go on the offensive against the Pure Fusion Collective. Valkyria says they are in Calgary next week, so she has an idea. Great. CM Punk's next in his segment. This was a really good segment. Very good. We got hints of the future of CM Punk after Drew McIntyre. We also got Drew McIntyre interfering in this segment, beating the holy shit out of CM Punk. Literally, Claymore kicking him out of his own shoe. I couldn't believe his fucking shoe fell off. He was walking around in his socks, basically. And so what we had take place is that CM Punk believes that after the match at Berlin, he was going to be able to do what he wanted to do next. And he wants to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is going to be good, this match. I don't think Gunther is going to lose the title to CM Punk, unfortunately. I honestly think that CM Punk versus Gunther at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title in the main event would be intriguing, and having CM Punk win the Royal Rumble probably would be a great idea. But I also leave Seth Rollins out of the loop, so I don't know if that's even going to work. Another thing they could do is turn the match into a triple threat so that we still have the Seth Rollins CM Punk dynamic going on, and have Gunther trample over both of them and, end up retaining his title anyway. And then we could build off of these two having a singles match leading up to SummerSlam next year. That's also another thought that they could do. At least giving CM Punk the main event spot of WrestleMania Night 1. That's what I would do, but that's just my opinion. But I'm pretty certain they're going to lean towards the CM Punk Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania, but there's going to have to be no championship on the line because I don't see Gunther losing that title anytime soon. He's more known to be a guy that'll go ahead and hold on to a championship for long periods of time. So I don't see this CM Punk, taking the title off of Gunther like in the middle of his reign, like leading up to WrestleMania. I just don't see it. Daniel says, I understand they were trying to do something different. Shayna, Zoe, and Sonya. NXT gives us better stable names. Wow. Well, I don't watch NXT, so I wouldn't have a fucking clue. It's going on right now. It's 15 minutes in. I don't watch NXT anymore, so I don't have a fucking clue what's going on down there. So it is what it is. But anyway, moving on. CM Punk ends up going ahead, taking his shot, an announcement that he wants Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. He ends up getting attacked by Drew McIntyre while he's celebrating on the announce table, grabs him from behind, grabs his leg, and basically knocks him off his feet. Lands pretty hard on the announce table as well. Hope he was okay. He also got pretty roughed up by Drew McIntyre. After that, Claymore kicks him. His shoe comes off crazy, and he just keeps hitting him with the Claymore kick. Then eventually takes the bracelet of Larry and AJ from his wrist, and he breaks the bracelet. I knew this was coming a mile away once he grabbed onto that bracelet. I was just like, oh shit, just break it already. Come on. We know that's what's coming next. And of course, that's what happened. He took the letters of Larry and April, or AJ, and shoved it down CM Punk's throat. Well, not literally going down his throat. I hope that wasn't the case. And he made him eat those beads in his mouth. Unfucking believable. Wade Barrett sold this shit like nobody's business. Absolutely loved what Wade Barrett did to sell Drew McIntyre's pure hatred and stone cold, no pun intended, stone cold mentality towards CM Punk at this point. He said, "This is not the same guy I used to know. He's totally different." By the way, getting into Joe Tessitore, I forgot to mention him. He was actually pretty good. He made it sound like an authentic sports event. I really enjoyed his commentary. I just don't know if I would enjoy him on a week to week basis. I think he'd be more suitable for the pay per views. Because you only hear him once a month, and that's it. I like Michael Cole a little bit better when it comes to a week to week type of thing. Don't get me wrong, Joe Tessitore is great at what he does, but I don't think he brings the same level of excitement. He brings that authenticity to the show. He makes it sound authentic, but the problem is he doesn't bring that level of excitement like Mauro Ranallo did. And I think that's what he's missing. If he implements that into his commentary, makes his voice a little bit more louder, he sounded kind of like distant, I would say. I would say that's a proper word, or kind of like disconnected from the show itself. And he was just doing the commentary. But I'd imagine that him doing this week to week, if he continues to sound the way he is, he might become boring. But if they decide to swap him out for like pay-per-view events and give Michael Cole a break from those events, I think that could work. But they do work on Saturday nights and so forth, and he does do boxing, so that might play an issue as well. So yeah, pretty much everything's going to remain the same and whatnot. But it is what it is. Then Punk was rushed to the hospital. Well, he was supposed to be put in the ambulance, but Punk came out of nowhere, or Drew McIntyre came out of nowhere, attacked him, beat the shit out of him, and did some more damage before they put him in an ambulance. Absolute fucking insanity. Great shit. Great stuff. Daniel says, imagine Punk versus McIntyre being either Hell in a Cell, First Blood, or 3 Stages of Hell. Seems like a stretch, but this is going to be chaotic. Likely so, Punk will deal with him before Gunther. Absolutely, Daniel. It's going to be Hell in a Cell. If you look at your history, Bad Blood, the original Bad Blood from 1997, did take place on October 5th, and I do believe it was in the same location that the original Bad Blood event and the original Hell in a Cell. So they're perfectly timing it all together for Hell in a Cell to take place at the original Bad Blood pay-per-view event. So I believe it's going to be Hell in a Cell. 3 Stages of Hell does sound like a good idea for a match as a substitute for Hell in a Cell. First Blood, don't like it at all. That's not even necessary to take place. A stretcher match, that could be another good one. But I'm leaning towards a Hell in a Cell match between these two guys. And I think that the winner of this match remains on Raw. The loser goes to SmackDown. That is what I think is going to happen, more than likely. Because logically, and even JD from New York 206 said this, and I'm not saying this to repeat him as if I don't have a mind of my own, but it makes very logical sense. You have CM Punk going ahead and challenging for a world title in the future. How much logic does it make to have Drew McIntyre on the same show with him, and he never interferes in his matches while they're on the same brand? I mean, CM Punk has fucked him over 10 ways to Sunday, winning a world title, and then Punk gets his opportunity at a world title and he doesn't interfere in the match. Like, That doesn't make any logical sense. So the only way that that would make sense for him not to interfere in CM Punk's matches so that this rivalry officially can come to an end is have the loser go to SmackDown to take these guys away from each other, because quite frankly, whether this is real or just storyline purpose, these guys seem like they truly want to kill each other and tear each other apart. Um, I'm hoping it's just storyline driven. It's not an actual real thing that these two guys have for each other. I'd imagine it's just purely just storylines being portrayed on television. So yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed this segment. This was an excellent segment for what it was. I think they did an excellent job nailing what they had to nail to get this point across for a Hell in a Cell match. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'm skipping past all the other stuff they've already mentioned that I already talked about. Next up, we had the IC Championship Contenders Tournament. Dragon Lee, Dominic Mysterio, and Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov ended up winning this match in a fairly decent matchup overall. Next, we had the WWE Women's Champion Bianca Belair and Jay Cargill join the commentary team for the next match coming up. Number one contenders match between Damage Control, Alba Fire, and Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire end up winning this matchup, believe it or not. Why they're getting a rematch, I have no idea, but whatever. Like, it don't fucking matter. Who gives a shit? So next up, we had Gunther come out with his segment. Gunther puts himself and the Berlin crowd over while dumping on the Denver crowd. Gunther said he said a lot of things to his challenger, Randy Orton, and while all of them were right, he did it so he could face the best version of Randy Orton. Crowd boos. Gunther proclaims himself the greatest world champion ever, and Sami Zayn interrupts. Zayn notes that all of the greats used Intercontinental Championship as a stepping stone to the World Championship, which is very true. Some didn't manage to pull that off. There was just the IC title as their primary way of saying that they were a world champion, I guess you could say. That's what Gunther did from what Zayn said, and that's what Zayn is going to do. Zayn wants the world championship. Gunther notes that when Zayn had the IC title, he didn't step up, he stepped down. Gunther denies Zayn's request, drops the mic, and walks away. As Gunther walks up the ramp, Zayn notes that Gunther never runs from a challenge, so why is he running now? Zayn reminds Gunther that since he's been here, the only person to pin Gunther is Zayn, and Zayn exclaims that it doesn't matter what Gunther thinks. Zayn is going to become the next world champion. Now, that is very true. He is the only person that ever pinned Gunther in the WWE main roster. Overall, between NXT UK, that is not exactly true. There has not been anyone, there has been other people that pinned him, but very few in between have pinned him and defeated him in a match. He's very, very, his record, I would say he's lost to maybe 3 people in his career. And that's because his reigns were so long, he defeated everybody and didn't suffer a loss. So it's kind of hard to say he suffered too many losses in his career. And on the WWE main roster, not one fucking person has actually defeated him by pinning him in the middle of the ring. I mean, unless it was a non-title match, I guess, so you could count those. I mean, I'm not going to go all the way back and try to find out all that history. That's just way too much fucking work, and I got a life outside of wrestling. Anyway, the thing is that This is interesting. It's good. It is what it is. It's being done the correct way. Gunther is avoiding Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn beat him for the title. It's that simple. For the IC championship, that is. And now he's afraid he might actually do it again. So that's why that's not, and why he's trying to avoid him and not have the match take place at all. Jey Uso had a segment backstage with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker told him, look, man, just go ahead, get yourself out of the tournament. I promise you, it is the best thing for you, because the Steiner family have never lost to your family, the Samoan family, and we never will. And I promise you, I will beat your ass if you end up. Apparently, he really thinks that we are getting hints that Jey Uso is winning this tournament to face Braun Breaker for his title. Very obvious. So don't be surprised if Jey Uso wins the Fatal 4-Way match. Just saying. And I think that that's going to happen because Sami Zayn's going to get a title shot at Bad Blood as well. So we're going to see these two guys compete for singles titles. They're both going to lose, and then they're going to become tag team champions together. We're probably going to see them join the Bloodline at Survivor Series to help the original Bloodline against the new Bloodline at Survivor Series inside War Games. So that's what I think is going to happen there. Next up, we had another IC Championship Tournament Contenders match. It had Braun Strowman, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. Braun Strowman replaced Bronson Reed, I believe, because Bronson Reed had an actual illness, COVID, I believe, COVID related, and Braun Strowman acted out the damage done to him the week before from that injury. Probably the best segment on the show that week, on that episode. I honestly think that Braun Strowman winning this match is kind of an interesting move. I mean, granted, it will leave Bronson Reed to come in and fuck him over out of the match and let it be so, I guess. Sheamus came very close of winning this matchup. Unfortunately, Pete Dunne got involved in the match and fucked him over. More than likely, I do expect to see. I would like to see Pete Dunne and Sheamus in a stipulated matchup for Bad Blood. I think these two deserve to be on the pay-per-view card and give us some sort of mid-card grudge match. I think this would be very suitable for that. I mean, and if you want to throw like 6 or 7 matches on this card instead of just 5, I think that would be fine. I don't think that's a major issue. Also, during the show, throughout, Damian Priest was wanting, Finn Balor was willing to face Damian Priest in a one-on-one matchup, or in a tag team matchup with JD McDonough. But he had to find himself a tag team partner in order for this to happen. So Rhea Ripley went ahead and asked for a favor from Jey Uso to tag team with Damian Priest in a match against Finn Balor and Damian Priest. This was an entertaining main event. I thought this was fun. Jey Uso and Damian Priest end up winning the match and getting the W with a splash off the top rope by Jey Uso at the end. And they get the W, and that's how the show basically goes off the air. And that was pretty much it. I thought this was a fun show, really. The wrestling was good. The builds are a hell of a lot better than they've been in a very long time. And everybody just seems so elevated in most of the areas of the show. There are still some weak spots in this show, but not as bad as what it used to be. Nowhere near it. So So yeah, Triple H's creative team is doing an excellent job with Monday Night Raw. SmackDown does need some improvement. I mean, they got like two storylines going on one show. The rest of the show is just kind of like there. They book some matches, and that's pretty much it. Nothing really exciting happening there. Um, so, I mean, SmackDown probably needs some work. I mean, they still got some good stars over there, and it's a fairly decent show. I think Randy Orton will make things more entertaining when he turns heel on uh, Cody Rhodes in the middle of his run as world champion. So that should be pretty entertaining as well. But anyway, guys, that's all I have to say at this time. You know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. I thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.